And I think that what Matt and I gave each other was an opportunity to become the people we saw ourselves as and that we wanted to be. Like, it was true. Like, who I saw myself as was true, and who he saw himself as is true. But when we first met each other, we were not those people yet. Our relationship created the incubator that helped us actually ripen into the people that we wanted to be.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying at the very beginning of when we started. We had the vision, but we didn't realize that just these last couple of weeks we were reflecting on how now we're really becoming that vision 10 years later. And it's like, oh man, well, I'm so proud of us to holding true to our values and vision, but wow, did it take a lot more than we thought to actually become it.
I want to highlight that. I think that is so, like what you just said, Ash, that your relationship became the incubator for you to become the versions of you that you wanted to be. I think that's really, really powerful. And I think that a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people actually look at their relationship that way, right? When Steph and I first met, we had this beautiful love story that was like beautifully intricately connected with spirituality. And we had like these out-of-body experiences together where we could tap in and feel the versions of us throughout space. Like, we had all of these really beautiful experiences, and then bringing it back down into like the reality. And this fire that we've gone through over the past 12 years together is what created the versions of that. And I think that that's really, really beautiful. And I'm glad that you said it, because I think oftentimes people get into relationships thinking that like they glimpse that together, right? They glimpse the version of themselves that they want to become, or they glimpse the version of their partner that their partner wants to become, because we present those, you put on that facade in the beginning, you put on those masks and things like that. And then it's like, cool, you saw it, you got a glimpse of it. Now can you actually come together where the rubber meets the road and do what you need to do to become those people and to become the versions of you that you actually want to become?
100%. And that's what the inner worker relationships was all about, is really helping people see that concept. And when we eventually talk about that book, like that is literally the entire foundation of why we wrote it, was to help translate that concept of like, everybody thinks that like when you date, you get to be that perfect version. And that's what we fall in love with. But what happens over time, like you just said, is that was just a glimpse, and to actualize that person now takes all the work. So that's why it's the inner worker relationships, because it's like, yeah, everybody can be their best self for a couple dates. Like, yeah, I can, we can all be pretty perfect for a couple nights. It's like, but what about years, months, weeks of stress or issues or setbacks? That's when it really is a great chance to see what you're really made of.
I think what started happening like in our relationship is we started to realize that the daily challenges that we were facing, being newly moved in, not knowing each other that well, we didn't have the average dating experience that most people have. Combining our finances, opening a business, and starting a life together that quickly, is that these daily challenges that we were experiencing together, we both knew and understood that this was the yoga, this was the work. And if we were actually practicing the things that we proclaim we're so interested in and devoted to, then this is what it actually looks like. And we figured that out pretty quickly on. And from that moment on, we had this commitment between us, like, oh, our relationship is our practice. Like, this relationship is our yoga practice. This relationship is the gateway to our enlightenment. This relationship is the simulation. And so there was an opportunity there where, in our ego, is this all a presentation? Like, is this all just, another ego identity where you're just interested in these things because it's, it's better than where you came from or better than everybody else? And like, you like to know these things and talk about these things and portray these things? Or are you genuinely interested in this path for the results of the practice, because you genuinely believe in the internal results that this practice brings you of self-awareness and self-inquiry? And I think we both had a moment to like reflect on that, like truly, because it was way harder than we thought it was when we were just learning about it. And there's a moment where you can break up there and be like, you know what, whatever. And I don't even care what you think about me. I don't care if you think I'm a
false guru
false
or I'm
guru or a
fake. Yeah.
spiritual narcissist or I'm full of shit or I'm delusional, right? Like I don't care what you think about me. I'll just move on and find somebody else and they'll think the world of me, right? I don't care what you think. There's like this ego switch right there of like, is that going to be who you are? Or are you going to let somebody see you for who you really are? Be humble. Are you actually going to go down the road and like go through the simulation, which is like, now a lifetime of it. And I think we both had that moment, and we both chose to continue to do the work.
And this is where I think faith comes in, because on any healing journey, you have to have faith to be willing to do what Ash just said. You have to believe that the outcome's going to be worth it. And both of us believed, because again, that passion, that faith we had was like, yes, I will see where this leads. I'm courageous enough to see where this leads. And if it all ends, and if it's a false teaching, if it doesn't work, at least I'll know, because I tried it and I did it. And so I think both of us had that passion to be like, let's see if this yoga shit's real. Let's see if this enlightenment stuff's real. Let's actually work on this stuff together. And the outcome should be what we hope it to be. And if it's not, at least we'll know. And I think that helped us feel the faith, the courage to be like, we have nothing to lose.
I think one other realization was we realized we needed each other,
Yeah, I was gonna
because
say that too, yeah.
if I didn't have him in my life holding me accountable with the amount of awareness and knowledge he had, I could trick myself all day long about how spiritual and peaceful and grounded and centered and like enlightened choices I make, and like how I know all these things. It's within the partnership that he holds up a mirror and really shows me when like I'm not being accountable to the self-reflection that I am saying I am doing, right? And same with him. It was like, I think he had a realization like, oh my gosh, I thought I was enlightened, I'm gonna leave my body, and yet this woman is in front of me holding up a mirror showing me all of these blind spots of egoism. And we both had it. And I think we realized that like if we were genuinely devoted to this like transcendence and like letting go of the suffering and actually understanding and seeing like what he said, is it really true, is it really real, what's on the other side, I think there was a moment of realizing like, holy shit, I kind of need you, because like you hold me accountable, you point out my shit, like you see me, and like my ego is seen. And I and then we became to love each other for that. And everybody, like we said, everybody needs a teacher, everybody needs a guru for that reason, not for somebody to tell you what to do or for somebody to give you the knowledge or like direct you, but just a friend. A guru could be a friend, guru could be a partner, guru could be anybody that you're interacting with in life that you allow to be a mirror for you to show you your own stuff. And so when we had that switch of honoring each other in that way, it started this whole journey that, where we're at today.
Yeah, I was going to add to that too earlier when you were saying like, this is when we really realized like, oh, you're my teacher. And I've spent like every day, and any chance I can to give Ash all the credit for any greatness in my potential that I've unlocked is 100% because of her. And I understand that it's maybe a little too much. Like, obviously I have to give myself credit. Okay. Like, yes, it took courage to do what I did, but at the end of the day, I know that any of the wonderful qualities that I'm proud of that I've become is 100% because of her being a part of that journey. And I couldn't have done it without her. And I think it's an honest, humble thing to admit, because in any other timeline, I don't know what would have happened. I just know this timeline. And in this timeline, the only reason why I've achieved anything that I'm proud of is because of having her in my life. And it's I think that's scary to people. And this, as we've looked at relationships and talked about relationships for so long now, and written a book about it now, is I think people are scared to trust and put that much power in their partner's heart. is a good way to put it, instead of hands. I like that, but it's like, yeah, I'm putting all that love and trust. And something that Ash was just saying, it made me think that was the moment where our love became the biggest love it could ever be. Because if you let someone be your spiritual companion and you let them be your teacher and you trust them with that level of love, I mean, there is no greater love than to give someone your full respect for your spiritual well-being. That is the most profound trust you could put in someone.
And when two people are doing that, that's why it's not risky, because you're both making that same commitment together. It's not like one person has more power over the other.
Yeah, it's mutual.
And I think that's where the fear comes in.
And I think we're so afraid to do that, but it's like, if you want to know true love, you have to, which again, true love takes faith, true love takes courage and surrender because of that.
We were meant to be. We were meant to be. We were meant to be.